Broadworth.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and no guests. Guess what, America? We're in a crisis right now. I'm not sure if anybody has looked at the newspapers, listened to the news. It's kind of hard not to miss the news. It's on 24 hours a day on 100 different channels. But we're in a crisis. And I really have a hard time saying this right now because I do not want to get us evicted from our current room. But the banks are not helping us. Okay, if I say that too loud, they might send the guards in here and escort me out. So, what do I mean by that? The banks are not helping us. Well, first I say we need to start taking away from the banks and the banking industry. In my opinion, they have been bringing down America in as much as the savings rate in the last few years has been at a negative percentage, negative 1%, which means we're spending more than we're saving. The banks have to get us into credit cards and loans, and oh, you deserve this. Just look at the commercials for the Chase loans, freedom. The wife wanted new carpet, so she went out and got new carpet. And then, well, the old furniture didn't look good on the new carpet, so she went and took that credit card and got more furniture. And then the husband didn't look good sitting in the furniture, so she went out and got him a whole new wardrobe. Thank you, Chase. Well, they don't tell you that she's going to be paying on all that stuff for 30 years. We need to take back to the banks and say, no, we're not going to pay you the interest that we've been paying you for the last 20 years. We're going to take that money and put it into our pockets. We can do this with a little bit of delayed gratification. If you want a car, don't pay all the interest on the car. We've been paying for cars non-stop for 20 years. We never own a car. If you go out and buy a car for, say, $1,500, $2,000, but you know you can afford $300 a month, you take your $300 a month and you save it for a year. You've now got $3,600. You sell the $2,000 car. Now you're sitting in a $5,000 car that you don't owe any money for. Well, that's not quite the car you want. So you do it for another year. Now you're driving an $8,500 car 2 years later that you don't owe any money on. You've saved an immense amount of money on interest. So, that's one little thing that we can do about taking away from the banks. But then in the next statement, I'm going to say, let's give the banks something. The banks are complaining, oh, we need money. We don't have enough assets. We've loaned out too much money, and we've done bad loans. So let's now help the banks increase their assets. Let's start saving the money. We've saved money on interest ourselves, so we're not taking that, giving that to the banks. So let's put the savings into the banks or into other investments. Then we'll earn money off the money that we save. The banks will pay us interest. And they'll have assets on their books, so they can, if somebody wants to borrow money, they can do that. There's ways out of this crisis. In America, we are in a crisis. But you know what? The government's not going to save us. The banks aren't going to save us. It's going to come back to you and me changing the way we do things. And go back to what our parents taught us. Our parents taught us to work hard to earn something, not to go out and buy it on credit and then pay for it 30 times over. So as we start to change our habits a little bit, there's an important number that's out there. And it's what we call a FIN, an FIN. That is your financial independence number. Because again, with the changing of society, we do not have pensions that we can retire on that will pay us every month for the rest of our lives. It's going to be up to you and me to save money. So we're putting money into our 401ks, but how much are we going to put into our 401ks? We are clueless. Nobody is helping us. Your financial independence number is the amount that you need to save so that you have enough to live on the rest of your life. And if that can be calculated and say, okay, I want to earn so much a month to last me the rest of my life, how much do I have to save to get to that number? Then you can be living the golden years when you decide to retire without the pension there, without the worry about what's going to happen in the future. Mr. Toastmaster, whoever you want to be today.
Thank you, Mr. Broadworth.